for Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy. Goyer's script for Man of Steel was nuanced and mature, building the film's foundation on themes of hope, sacrifice, and identity. And the result? A script that elevated Superman from his comic book origins to a hero who felt like he could walk among us. Flawed yet magnificent. One of the most breathtaking aspects of Man of Steel is its cinematography, crafted by the brilliant Amir Mokri. The way the film uses light, color, and camera angles creates a visual language that's both spectacular and intimate. The Krypton scenes, for example, are rich with detail and awe-inspiring vistas. The destruction of Krypton is shown with such grandeur that you can almost feel the collapse of a civilization that's been around for millennia. And then we get to Earth, where the towering skyscrapers and small towns feel equally real. It's in the small details, the slight movement of Cavill's cape or the tension in a slow-motion scene, that make Man of Steel feel cinematic, almost like a work of art. But the most thrilling part? The action sequences. From the moment Superman first soars into the sky to the final showdown with Zod, the action is relentless, breathtaking, and something we'd never seen before. The fights were massive, destructive, but also deeply personal. These weren't just battles between two superpowered beings. They were clashes of ideologies, of beliefs, and of survival. Speaking of the action, let's talk about the budget. $225 million. It's a hefty sum, but it's a reflection of the scale of this film. Every penny was spent to ensure that the world of Man of Steel felt as large as the story it was telling. And boy, did it pay off. The visual effects were groundbreaking for their time. The way Krypton was realized, the way Superman's powers were portrayed, and the sheer scale of the destruction felt like nothing we had ever witnessed before in a Superman film. The CGI in Man of Steel didn't overshadow the human element of the story. It enhanced it, adding weight and substance to the narrative. And let's not forget the score by Hans Zimmer. Zimmer, who had already established himself as a master of epic scores, delivered one of his most iconic works with Man of Steel. His compositions are intense, emotional, and perfectly suited to the film's tone. The main theme, with its soaring notes and powerful crescendos, is a perfect reflection of Superman's journey, both triumphant and filled with inner conflict. The music doesn't just accompany the scenes, it elevates them, making every moment feel larger than life. But what truly makes Man of Steel stand out in the superhero genre, especially when compared to similar films, is its commitment to exploring Superman's humanity. In a world where we were used to heroes who were either completely indestructible or entirely self-assured, Superman in Man of Steel was a breath of fresh air. His struggle to fit in, to understand his purpose, and to make the right choices was not only relatable, but deeply emotional. It was a Superman for the modern era, one who grappled with moral dilemmas and sought not just to save the world, but to understand it. Man of Steel also tackled larger themes that were incredibly timely, questions about power, identity, and responsibility. Superman isn't just fighting for survival, he's fighting for something greater, hope. In a world that's filled with chaos, Superman represents the possibility of something better, and the film doesn't shy away from the consequences of his actions. The final battle between Superman and Zod is brutal, emotional, and heart-wrenching. It's a moment that will leave you speechless, one that forever changed the trajectory of the DC Extended Universe. Now, let's talk about the film's box office performance. Man of Steel grossed over $668 million worldwide, which was a significant success. While it didn't reach the same heights as some other superhero blockbusters, it laid the groundwork for the future of the DC Universe, leading to films like Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Justice League. But it's not just about the numbers. Man of Steel was a game-changer in how superhero films would be made. It pushed the boundaries of what was possible in terms of visual effects, storytelling, and character development. It raised the bar for what audiences could expect from a comic book adaptation, and for that, it will always be remembered as a milestone. And yes, there was some controversy surrounding the film, particularly the criticism over the destruction of Metropolis during the final battle. Some people felt the film didn't address the consequences of such large-scale destruction, and that Superman's moral compass was overshadowed by the spectacle of the action. But this criticism overlooks one of the film's core messages. Superman is not infallible. The destruction is part of the growing pains of a hero who is learning what it means to have godlike powers and human responsibility. It's messy, it's complicated, and it's real, In conclusion, Man of Steel is not just a film about Superman. It's a film about us. It's about identity, purpose, sacrifice, and the relentless pursuit of hope. It's a cinematic experience that blends jaw-dropping action, deep emotional resonance, and a fresh take on a beloved character. With incredible performances, a visionary director, a groundbreaking score, and one of the most thrilling depictions of Superman ever seen, Man of Steel stands as a true gem in the superhero genre. It may have been the beginning of the DC Extended Universe, but it's so much more than that. It's a film that redefined the Man of Steel and reminded us all of the true meaning of heroism. Hey everyone, let me take you back to 2013, a time when superhero films were already starting to dominate the big screen, yet there was a hunger for something new, something grander. At a moment when fans were demanding a fresh take on the superhero genre, a vision began to take shape. That vision came to life in a way that redefined how we saw one of the most iconic superheroes of all time. A hero who, for many, is not just a symbol of strength, but also of hope, resilience, and what it truly means to be human. I'm talking about Man of Steel, a film that did more than just revive Superman. It redefined him for a new generation. Zack Snyder, a director known for his bold and visually striking films, was entrusted with bringing Superman back to the big screen in a way that would feel both fresh and timeless. Snyder, who had already captured our imaginations with films like 300 and Watchmen, knew the stakes were high. He wasn't just rebooting a franchise. He was breathing new life into an iconic character, one who had already been immortalized on screen by Christopher Reeve and others. What Snyder set out to do with Man of Steel wasn't a copy of what had been done before. No, he aimed to reintroduce Superman in a way that felt grounded, raw, and real, making him not just a superhero, but a man struggling with identity, purpose, and the weight of expectations. It all begins with the casting. Henry Cavill, an actor many were unfamiliar with at the time, was given the honor of playing the last son of Krypton. And let me tell you, Cavill was nothing short of magnificent. He portrayed a Superman who was conflicted, who questioned his role in the world, and who, despite being a god among men, carried the same emotional baggage as anyone else. Cavill's portrayal of Superman was something we had never seen before. Gone was the perfect, flawless hero. In his place stood a Superman who was real, who struggled with his purpose, who had doubts, but who still stood tall in the face of insurmountable challenges. His performance wasn't just about showing strength. It was about vulnerability, humanity, and the internal struggle that defines us all. But it wasn't just Cavill that made this film stand out. The incredible Amy Adams played Lois Lane, and she was nothing short of brilliant. Adams brought a level of depth to Lois that made her more than just a love interest. She became a fully realized character who was strong, intelligent, and just as driven by the truth as Superman himself. And let's not forget Michael Shannon as General Zod, whose portrayal of the villain brought a sense of raw aggression and desperation. Zod was more than just a villain for the sake of conflict. He was a being who believed in the righteousness of his cause, which made him not only terrifying but tragic in his own right. Russell Crowe, Kevin Costner, and Diane Lane also gave stellar performances as Jor-El, Jonathan Kent, and Martha Kent, respectively. Their portrayals of Superman's adoptive parents brought warmth, compassion, and wisdom that gave Clark Kent the moral compass he needed to navigate his path. Snyder's vision was supported by the incredible writing of David S. Goyer, a man who has had a significant impact on the superhero genre, having also written for Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy. Goyer's script for Man of Steel was nuanced and mature, building the film's foundation on themes of hope, sacrifice, and identity. And the result? A script that elevated Superman from his comic book origins to a hero who felt like he could walk among us, flawed yet magnificent. One of the most breathtaking aspects of Man of Steel is its cinematography, crafted by the brilliant Amir Mokri. The way the film uses light, color, and camera angles creates a visual language that's both spectacular and intimate. The Krypton scenes, for example, are rich with detail and awe-inspiring vistas. The destruction of Krypton is shown with such grandeur that you can almost feel the collapse of a civilization that's been around for millennia. And then we get to Earth, where the towering skyscrapers and small towns feel equally real. It's in the small details, the slight movement of Cavill's cape or the tension in a slow-motion scene, that make Man of Steel feel cinematic, almost like a work of art. But the most thrilling part? The action sequences. From the moment Superman first soars into the sky to the final showdown with Zod, the action is relentless, breathtaking, and something we'd never seen before. The fights were massive, destructive, but also deeply personal. These weren't just battles between two superpowered beings. They were clashes of ideologies, of beliefs, and of survival. Speaking of the action, let's talk about the budget. $225 million